The Taliban's olive branch, if that's what it is, isn't being rejected by the ruler of Afghanistan, Hamid Karzai.
Our High Peace Council will travel to Qatar to discuss peace talks with the Taliban. We hope that our brothers, the Taliban, also understand that the peace process talks will move to their own soil soon after to ensure peace in Afghanistan.
But the Taliban's move was accompanied by familiar violence in Afghanistan, a suicide blast in Kabul, killing at least 3 people. The US is pitching its upcoming talks with the Taliban as progress.
And so this is an important first step towards reconciliation. Although it's a very early step, we anticipate there will be a lot of bumps in the road, but the fact that the parties have an opportunity to talk and discuss Afghanistan's future, I think is very important.
All right, welcome back, folks. That's Barack Obama. That was a report on our proposed talks, peace talks with the Taliban. Joining us right now is Dr. Walid Phares. He is a Middle East and terrorism expert. Hello, doctor. How are you, sir?
Good, and you. Thank you for having me today.
Well, it's my pleasure. Okay, so how realistic is this? How smart is this? You know, I hearken back to when Barack Obama years ago said, the Taliban's not our enemy. I don't like to use the word war. There's the good Taliban and the bad. Where are we?
Well, look, to do this game, you've got to be dancing, a tango, meaning you've got to have two. You cannot say the Taliban now are good, they have changed, they will. This is very self-centric. You've got to ask the Taliban what do they think about it. And I have been in the media over the past few weeks several times debating Taliban leaders or proxies for them. They are not changing their ideology. When they will come back to Afghanistan, if they can, and control the government or partially, they are going to implement their view, Sharia law, reverse the process of democratic elections, gradually, of course. Now, the Obama administration is under the pressure of a deadline that it created itself. So by the end of 2014, the president wants to see NATO American forces out. The only way out for him at this point in time is to negotiate with the Taliban, which I think would be a mistake if he doesn't include the Karzai government with him.
Well, now you bring up the Karzai government, and the Karzai really had problematic words to say about our planned peace talks with the Taliban.
If he is not involved as a sovereign government in a negotiation that would decide over the future of his government, he knows. Look, Karzai knows the ground. He knows that what the administration here really wants is to make concessions to the Taliban, probably partial concessions, bring them into the government. And Karzai knows if that happens, basically, without the Taliban being disarmed and changing their political agenda, meaning without being reformed, they're going to eat him alive. And it is well known in Afghanistan. So the Obama administration thinks they can reform the Taliban. The Taliban wants Washington to think that they can be reformed so that they could go back to Afghanistan and then, of course, defeat Karzai after we withdraw.
Yeah, it seems like it's typical Obama foreign policy, naive, and naive.
He thinks it's intelligent because and everybody else is naive because his academic elite here. I mean, the bottom line is those advisors who are telling him, look, the Taliban are pragmatic people. They're just flashing out this ideology. They don't mean it. While the Taliban are feeding those academic advisors. Yes, we are, and we could change, and we could do. But what are they talking to their own people? Get ready. The Americans are leaving. Just a question of time. 18 months, we'll be in Kabul, and we are reestablishing an Islamic Emirate. But what is mind-boggling is that in Qatar, they are now opening a consulate or an embassy, of course funded partially by the Qataris, and they're going to call it what? The Taliban? No, the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. They are even announcing what they're going to do after the withdrawal.
Well, it seems, and this is a good segue into Syria, it seems like the president has been able to put radical Islam in power wherever he possibly can. I mean, look at Libya with the Brotherhood. Look at Egypt with the Brotherhood. Look at Syria now with the combination that we're going to support in the rebels. What's going on?
Look, I don't want to publicize, but I have published the probably only book that predicted the Arab Spring. It's called The Coming Revolution. Now, published when? In the summer of 2010, 6 months before.
Yeah.
before. Now, in that book, I projected that civil societies, I mean, regular people, had enough of dictators. They will rise because of internet and what have you. And in Iran, they did it in 29. By the way, we abandoned them. And I have warned, whatever the U.S. policy is going to do, whomever the administration is going to side with is going to actually come to power. And you are absolutely right. Throughout 2011 and early 2012, the Obama administration, in a quasi attempt to bring the Brotherhood and Nahda and everybody, helped them come to power. Now, they thought that they will bring these people, mild Islamists, they call them, to power, and then the jihadists will fade away. What happened in Benghazi? Well, the jihadists hit us. What is happening in Egypt? The jihadists are coming back. And now we have the huge test in Syria, as you said. And I'm afraid that we may go in the same direction.
Well, now, do you believe that this is coincidental, accidental, or do you believe that that this was an intention of Obama all along?
No, it is stated analysis, academic ideas by his own advisors. There's nothing hidden. I am surprised that people in Congress are not understanding this before it happens. For example, in Libya, you had prominent leaders in Congress, I don't want to go into names right now, who said, these are the rebels and we're going to support them. Fine. I would have supported the early wave of young people and women and minorities across the board. But when we came to support, it was already the Brotherhood, so we were outmaneuvered. I think there is.
Well, this is Lindsey Graham and John McCain. These are the same ones saying it about Syria now.
Look, you are putting those names forward. I understand that. I've tried hard because I advise members of Congress to warn them and brief them about that. And still you have this fog in Washington, D.C. People cannot make a distinction between the actual secular people in the Middle East. We saw them in Iran. We saw them in Lebanon, Syria's revolution, and the jihadists. I mean, for God's sake, it's very easy to identify the jihadists. Listen to what they say, look at their YouTube, and look at their flag. That's easy.
We're talking to Dr. Walid Phares here on the Steve Malzberg Show. When it comes to Syria, Doctor, I don't know what that was. When it comes to Syria,
maybe it's Syria.
No. Actually, that's our little theme. But anyway, the red line. The red line. Remember, Obama months and months ago said if there's movement of chemical weapons or chemical weapons use, that changes everything. That's the red line. And of course, that red line, according to multiple sources, multiple governments, agencies, UN, was crossed multiple times. But yet last week, the definitive word came from the White House, not the president, that the red line had been crossed and we have to do something to support the rebels. Now, do you feel that this is kind of a wagging the dog moment to take the focus off the scandals?
Let's keep the conclusion after the fact. Let me say this. The crossing of the red line, according to the administration and the British and others, killed about 150. Assad's brutal massacre of his own people killed 91,000 people. I mean, what red line are we talking about? There was a huge, thick red line of blood that has been crossed in Syria. And, we were hiding behind, as long as they don't use chemicals, tens of thousands have been killed. We missed the boat. The administration missed the boat in 2011. And that's very important for the listeners to understand. We were in Iraq. Every piece of equipment we're going to move to the Middle East, and we're not sure about it, that we're going to do it right now, was in the Middle East already. We could have done everything we had to do in 2011. The demonstrations were still civil society. Al-Qaeda was not strong. We missed the boat in 11. In 12, we had elections. And now we are facing very tough realities, very tough reality in Syria.
And what do you think the extent of our help for the rebels will be? Because I think the president today said something like, "Hey, people think we're going to go all in." That's not true. So what do you think he's actually planning on doing?
Look, he wants to do enough to impress, of course, a large segment of the population here, members in Congress, people in Europe, and also the Syrian opposition. Qatar is pressuring him. The Arab Spring governments, quote unquote, are pressuring him. So they need to do stuff. On the other hand, he's really hoping that Mr. Putin of Russia is going to put pressure at one point on Assad and bring him to the table. I have not seen yet in Washington a strategy that would bring down Assad and sideline Al-Qaeda. This is what we need to do. This is the agenda. I have not seen any strategy like this.
Well, and what do you make, finally, sir? Today, the president in Germany talked about peace with justice, which Bill Gertz, who we had on earlier, said he got that from Lenin and Marx. It's kind of an offshoot of what he got from Al Sharpton too. No justice, no peace. So what is he? What is this? A new Obama doctrine?
Well, this is a shift from the traditional peace through strength to establish democracy, which was an American and Western liberal general principle, to peace and justice, because justice is something very proportional and relative. I mean, what is justice? To whom and by whom is the question, and President Obama stayed very abstract on it. Peace, we understand, but who's going to tell us what is justice worldwide?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. Doctor, a pleasure.